Hello everyone, I am back again, and I wanted to do a list of my personal favorite Chucky movies from my least favorite to my favorite, and do like a little ranking countdown thing. Something fun to build up to next week's Cult of Chucky release. Uh, I just want to say that these are my opinions. Uh, I know a lot of people have very hardcore opinions about movies in general, like especially in the horror genre. Um, you're gonna have a lot of sequels and stuff like that, and I'm sure everyone has their favorites. And I love hearing the passion that people have for these movies, in particular the Child's Play franchise. And again, these are my opinions. You can disagree. Um, I respect your opinions, and I'm only saying this because I feel like my rankings are going to be somewhat controversial in the Child's Play universe. So without further ado, we're going to start at my least favorite. Here we go. So my least favorite Chucky doesn't mean that I hate it. It's like not my favorite, but my least favorite is Child's Play 3. I recently saw this one. I hadn't watched, this has been the only one I haven't watched, and it was on like AMC recently, and I watched it. And I feel like they cut a lot of it out, so I bought it and watched it again. And I feel like it was such a rehash, and it wasn't anything new. Basically, if you haven't seen it, Andy is sent away to military school, and Chucky is obviously there, and shenanigans ensue. I just feel like everything seemed so forced. The comedy, the one-liners that Chucky does. Brad Dourif always does an amazing job. I'm putting that out there. Disclaimer, Brad Dourif always does an amazing job voicing Chucky. But I feel like everything was so forced. It felt bland. You just come off of Child's Play 2, which I thought was great, and it just felt stale and kind of like, we've done this before. I don't think it was like a terrible movie, but I don't think it is the shining beacon of the Child's Play franchise. So that is my least favorite. My next film would be Child's Play 1. I hate to put it there, but the original Child's Play, it is the classic. It is one that started it all. Catherine Hicks is great as the mom, and Chris Sarandon, I believe his name is. I know him from The Princess Bride. I always think of him from The Princess Bride when I see him. Is great as well. It just has the 80s cheese. Chucky isn't really in. Excuse me. I'm losing my voice. Which is one of the reasons why I haven't made a video in over a week. I'm so sorry. Anyway, Chucky wasn't really he was in the movie, but you didn't really get to see him in his full Chucky glory, until near the very end. Alex Vincent does a great job as little Andy, and, it is definitely a classic. I am in no means saying that this is a bad movie, because obviously the Child's Play franchise is my favorite horror franchise. And it just doesn't, out of all the other ones, I feel like this one is one that I could probably go back and watch, but I'm not watching it as much. I'm not reaching for it to watch as much. So that is why I put that next on my list. The next one, I'm not really like giving them like numbers or anything. I'm just kind of going from my least to my favorite, in case anyone doesn't understand. The next one, Okay. Sorry, my battery is running out. My next film is Curse of Chucky. I had such high expectations for this one because we had gone on such a long hiatus between Seed and Curse. And I thought Curse was actually a really good return to form for Chucky. I thought it had a lot of suspense. It was a very, as we go through each of them, I'm going to be talking more and more about how Don Mancini's directing style really changed up the franchise, and he always makes it fresh, and he always pulls from other horror movies, horror elements, and I really liked this getting picked off one by one in the house, and it felt very Agatha Christie. I I did enjoy it. I like Fiona Dourif as Nika. It just didn't really do much for me. I felt like I felt like um, the CGI in it really took you out of it, especially coming off of Seed, in which the animatronics were really, really good. And even in the original, the animatronics in that were better than this one. And I know they were on such a small budget, but it just killed moments that could have been truly horrifying or glorious. And it just took you out of it. I feel like I didn't like, this could be kind of like controversial, but I didn't really like how, I didn't like the backstory that they gave Charles Lee Ray in it. Like, I don't like how they added Nika into it. I just wish she kind of had been like some random person. I know they had to tie it in somehow, but I just didn't like the side story with the mom. You know, he was obsessed with the mom randomly, and I'm like, ugh, I don't know. I didn't like how they kind of shoehorned all that in there. But anyway, I didn't hate it. It just wasn't my fave. It was a good return to form to horror for a lot of the fans, and I can truly appreciate. Sorry, the next Child's Play movie on my list is Child's Play 2. I really, I always think of them pre-Bride and then after Bride. And out of all the pre-Bride Child's Play movies, Child's Play 2 stands out as my absolute favorite. I loved how they followed Andy and his storyline and how he goes into the foster home. I liked Kyle as a character. I feel like everyone really likes Kyle as a character. And I feel like they had really good chemistry together, Andy and Kyle. And it really worked really well. I thought Chucky had his best one-liners in this one. The story was really good. You still get some of the cheese in it, but I feel like a Chucky movie is at its best when you have the cheese, when you have the humor and the horror mixed. Because I feel like, how can you take a little murderous doll throwing wisecracks every 2 seconds while he's killing you be truly that serious, you know? And I just feel like this one outdid the original. When I went back and watched them all, I felt like this could have been, you know, Child's Play 1, the original, and I would have loved it all the same. So that is my feeling. Those are my feelings on Child's Play 2. And of course, I only have 2 more spots left, and I know I'm down to 2 of the most controversial. I'd say maybe one is the most controversial. And again, this is my opinion. I'm just gonna go with it. My second favorite Child's Play movie is Seed of Chucky. I know a lot of people, a lot of the fans of the franchise hate this movie, detest this movie. but when I kind of grew up in the time when like Bride and Seed came out, and Seed was really the first. No, I'd say Bride was the first one I saw, but Seed was the first one that I actually probably watched all the way through, and I just loved how different and kooky it was. And I've always loved John Waters, and he is in this, and it feels like a John Waters does Chucky movie. It feels like something he would do. Um, and I just think the franchise was going already in a different direction with Bride. And Bride was so successful because it didn't do the formulaic thing that Chucky had unfortunately been caught in with Child's Play 3. Bride did something that was innovative and different and unexpected, and Seed took it to the next level. I think that some of the jokes are not funny, but sorry, I'm losing my voice. I really, really think Don Mancini made the right call with Seed. It was definitely not for everybody. It was very meta, and it was definitely a spoof of itself in a time where a lot of movies were doing that, but Don Mancini had the balls to throw in a gender confused character. It just like it was so out there, but it like made so much sense for where I thought it should have went. And I thought Jennifer Tilly playing herself, hilarious. Like, that was great. She can do no wrong in my book as far as I'm concerned. And I just feel like when you go back and watch them all, it holds such a special place because it is truly, it's truly so different and out there and creative. And I can understand the hate behind it. I don't want to spend this whole video talking about Seed of Chucky, but I always feel like I have to defend it because it is so, it's so hated by a lot of the fans, and I loved how crazy it was. Like, to me, was it the best movie ever made? No. Was it the best horror film ever made? No. Was it even the best like horror comedy ever made? No. But it was kooky and cool for the time, and I think it holds up even today. And I still enjoy watching it. Every time it comes on, I watch it. So let me move past. I've spent 5 minutes talking about it. My favorite all-time, my all-time favorite Chucky movie is Bride of Chucky. I feel like this is the movie that got me into the franchise. I can remember being young and watching Bride on TV and thinking, wow, like this, it was different. It was, I just remember it being so different from any horror movie I'd ever seen. And the characters were so fun, and I loved the addition of Tiffany. I love Tiffany and Chucky together and their chemistry. And I really think it all has to do with Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly in the working together in the booths, and they could see each other, and they got to overlap and work off of each other, and you can totally tell it. The dolls, it's so weird because you're watching, it's crazy. You're watching two dolls in a like horror comedy, and you can like relate to the characters. Like, you understand, like, there's some moments in this that are genuinely sad moments, which shouldn't be a sad moment. This should be like a cheesy 90s movie, but it's like it hits on all these different things, and it's just so well made. It's beautifully shot by Ronnie Yu, and it's just so iconic, and it really took the franchise somewhere that it could have fallen into the formulaic, what it had been, but they didn't do that. They they fed off of, like, obviously they're pulling from different horror movies, like they show it in the movie Bride of Frankenstein. That's an amazing classic horror film. Why did it work so well? Because you gave the main character that you've grown to love, Frankenstein, Chucky, a love interest that grounds him in reality to you. So you can broaden his story even further and you can understand the character better. And I just feel like out of all the Chucky movies, this film stands alone as, to me, the most well made, the best acted, the best story, and I enjoy it so much. It had the perfect mix of the horror and the comedy. And that is my list. I'm not going to ramble on anymore. I hope you guys enjoyed this so much. I am so looking forward to Cult of Chucky. I've been hearing amazing things. And I want to know down below, what is your ranking of the Child's Play films? And what do you think of my list? I know it's not very popular. I'm sure my opinions on it are not very popular, but this is what I love to talk about, and I love the Chucky franchise. There's not one that I dislike. I like all of the films in this franchise, and it's just fun to come on here and rank them. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will probably see you next week for my Cult of Chucky review, which I'm so excited about. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!